Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move for another week. Today's date is the 21st of December 2023. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. Well, last a bit of excitement in the markets and we're going to look at what the realities are, what's happening at the moment. We're going to be a bit of due to a funny 2023, not just the markets but worldwide within some nasty situations happening. So it's really a matter of now spending Christmas and trying to put that aside, enjoy family and friends, and we're going to have a look at perhaps a more exciting and prosperous new year for 2024. So remember, the market had a tough market this year. That's the way the cycle goes. We have some bad times in the stock market. We need to go through those markets, but we also have some good times. So remember, the cycle always does turn. Don't have too much anchor bias about what's happened. Be too gun shy. Listen to your trade plan, make sure you're confident in what you do, be brave, and you'll reap the benefits. Okay, so there's some pretty good evidence there we're going to have a look at as we go through today. So we're always well prepared for stock rallies the way we do it. So we take our triggers, all our stock portfolios are full right now, which is great. So we are already reaping the benefits of the rally we've had so far. Anyway, there are lots of new stock picks hitting the radar on Stockradar. I'm going to go through a couple of them today for you to have a look, but remember to get onto the site, have a look. There's plenty of news, there's plenty of reading, there's plenty of stock picks, there's plenty of education to be gleaned on the stock market for you. So I'm here to help as always. So let's go and have a look at the top 10 and see what we've got at the moment. Okay. So again, we've got an interesting group of stocks here. Again, probably our builders and consumer discretionary stocks are our main drivers at the moment for us. And also the leaders, which is really driving this market. BHP, CBA back on their highs again. Some of the other stocks running like Rio, Fortescue, they're all pushing the market, the index higher, which is great. But our top 10 and 1030 ratings are Breville Group, which has finally got off its backside, having a little bit of a tough start to its breakup. Car Group, which has been a great stock this year. Cochlear has kicked ahead. One of those stocks, it's a little bit hard. It's a $300 stock almost. Sometimes we get a little bit wary of these sorts of prices, but if you're prepared to back yourself, $300, $30, $3.30, doesn't matter too much because the benefits have been quite strong for Cochlear and the gains have been quite good. CSR's made new highs. Evolution is one gold stock pick we hold. We're sort of wondering a bit about gold. We'll have a look at that later on as to what's happening. Fortescue's run ahead nicely as we looked at before. James Hardie's just gone almost straight back to its highs. It's been a fantastic stock this year for us. We've got the NDQ, which is doing okay. This is the Nasdaq one. ProMedica has probably been the stock of the year this year. It's just been a fantastic stock. It's trended the whole way through. No big corrections. It just keeps making new highs. And of course, Super Cheap Auto is now making new highs. It was a $10 stock back in middle of this year. It's now a $15 stock. So it's been a good performance. So there have been some good stocks out there. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the overseas markets. Starting off with the Dow Jones. Okay. Dow Jones Industrial Average, it is the first index to make new highs, new all-time highs. So it did that last week. Tell me a little bit of an easier week this week. Remember, we've had some strong rally, so a pullback is not a problem at the moment. As markets always do, they go pull back. We don't get too worried about these sorts of things. So the Dow is sending a clear message that it wants to go higher. Remember, it's a 30 stock index, so it's not that broad. So we need to look also at the broader market to see what sort of substance we have. But if we look at the Dow here, you've got a new high here. We've got some fantastic volume here. Momentum's good. It's above the average. It is an inarguable rally at the moment. Okay, so it's certainly sending a clear message that it wants to go higher. Okay, now we look at the S&P. It's a broader market. It's come straight up to its highs. Bang, hit it there. Troubled a bit this week, so shied off a little bit. Hasn't really come back that much. But again, we've got this beautiful buying power down the bottom here and very positive momentum, which is really still potentially in the early stages of a pretty nice rise, and we're well above the average. So for the S&P, we are actually, just get that a little bit. The S&P is actually doing pretty well at the moment. Let me just push this across a little bit so we can see that a bit better. So the S&P is, doing okay. Yeah, let me just soften that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now we've got it right in the right spot. Okay, so that's the S&P. Volume's great, momentum's great. It looks good. Nasdaq Nasdaq, again, it's a little behind the 8 ball, but still doing very well. And again, this rally's been good. It's made through R1, which is great. It's going to challenge 1600, I would think, very shortly. We've got some great volume down here. Momentum's just getting on its bike. It's above the average, which is now starting to rally up. So all the things we want to see are there. Basis what I do. Remember, know why you buy, and you'll know what to buy. So for the reasons I've got there are price, moving average, volume, and momentum, and all those key indicators for me are being satisfied. So those markets look like to me they want to go higher. Okay, commodities, gold, well, it's still holding the break area there. We get a little bit of a rally here. Volume's been reasonably good on the upside through here. Momentum's positive, and the average is positive. So again, all the things we want to see are there for this to continue. So we can wonder all the time we like, but take a load off, and if your signals say yes, then follow it. Okay, and don't doubt it. So be brave, be confident. This the COMEX gold there is looking like it might rally a bit higher yet. Okay, copper's just struggling to turn. It's made a play. But it's really still struggling a bit, so it's really just probably in the early stages of a potential turn. There's a lot of work up here that it had. The rally went straight to this area here. This area is a big resistance area here, so I think there's quite a lot of work there. Again, if we start seeing it above this level, then we're going to be very excited, but for the moment it's got some work to do yet. Volume's been better, and momentum's just sort of saying the selling pressure's drying up a little bit, so and it's above the average, so constructive without being overly excited at the moment. So no new trend yet, but we're getting a constructive turn there for copper. Okay, Brent crude really just found support. It's had a little bit of a bounce, which is probably what would happen normally from S1. But you can see here the selling is pretty dominated, and the momentum really gone right out of this and back to neutral. So for Brent crude, we're probably still pretty negative on that one there, and expecting it to move back towards S1 again. Okay, the ASX 200, our market, well, how good does this look? We haven't seen it look like this for a while. Momentum's still down there, but if I just blow this one up for you, and we'll have a good look at it, and that's how it looks for the moment. If we go back to here, you can see the rally. Okay, so we've had a pretty good rally here. We've had a pullback, roughly between about 38 and 50%, which is about good for a correction. It's had a rally, it's come back and found support, and now it's moving on those highs. So it's looking very good. It's rising to the challenge. Again, I mentioned before, driven by some of those leaders, which are getting back on the bike, and BHP and CBA, one of those stocks I'll look at in a minute, look very interesting at the moment. Okay, as they are right on their highs. Okay, so that's those ones there. We'll just go quickly and have a look at the stock pick count. Stock pick count is up 10 this week, so we've had 10 new stocks or 9 new stocks, and there's one ETF which has been added in there, so that's good. So we've got 26 stock picks to choose from now, and that's plenty for us. We don't need a lot of stocks to make money in our portfolios. Our 5 stock and 10 stock portfolios are full. So those 26 stock picks are moving ahead pretty well, and as we know, there's things like Cochlear, Breville Group, CSR, James Hardie, all those ones that are running on well, Pro Medicus are all in there. And the rest of the stock market can do what it likes as long as we've got stocks that are going up. That's the most important thing, and that's how our portfolios do. We focus on those stock picks, and we can fill our portfolio very quickly. Okay, so now I've gone through that. Let's go to some stocks for you. Last week, I looked at Breville, Magellan, which is still going, Fortescue running on, Cochlear, QBE, which has struggled a little bit, and DTL, which is also looking okay. So let's just restore this panel. So here we go with BHP. Again, we've got this big push up here. This big corrective, this big triangular sort of pattern here. Flat top resistance here. The sellers are selling here. The buyers are being pretty strong here. Let me just see if I can whip this volume up a little bit so we can a little bit see what we're going on at the moment. Okay, so you can see here we're getting quite a few green bars starting to appear now. Here we had a good battle, and we had a good battle here, but support held here, which is very promising. And remembering this support is a lot higher than it has been over the last year or two. Okay, so we're edging up here, the buyers are eager, and now we've got a good push high, and the volume's starting to appear here. Momentum is gathering, and it's above the average, which is turning up. So all these things are looking right for BHP. So again, be brave, be confident, follow your signals. All we need now for BHP to turn this trend intensity rating of +2 into a qualifying rating is a break above $50. Okay, so that's BHP, and it is looking very good indeed, I would think. Another stock in this sector, which has had quite a few tries and has failed so far, is Orica. Now, it's looking pretty interesting now because we've got this similar pattern that we've got with BHP. It's got these rising lows through here, which is good. We've got a fairly good bit of battleground territory stuff through here, which is sort of consolidating at high levels, which is a good sign, which means the buyers are being resilient. The sellers might be driving hard, but they're not pushing the buyers away, and that's a good sign. And now we're seeing a test of the highs up here, which is up around $17 or just below. We've got some few green bars appearing here, which is good. So it's still early days, but the signs are pretty good, and we've now got momentum just starting to tick above zero there, and it's above the average. So we're starting to see a swing here. Trend intensity rating is -1, so it's neutral. So it will be ready to go on a break above that $17 level. Okay, so Orica is certainly one to watch, I would think, at the moment. We've had a few failed attempts here, and that's okay. It's a battle going on, but when these levels do break, that's when we get those market imbalances, and I talk a bit about that in the newsletter this week with a couple of stocks there. So I think Orica looks very interesting at the moment, and it's doing a few interesting things as well. Okay, now let's go to one of our little favourite stocks, one of my favourite stocks, Super Cheap Auto, which has been a real boomer since it broke through $15, a good kick higher. Again, that's what I'd look for a stock like Orica or BHP to do. If they break those highs, we get that market imbalance. The sellers need to reverse their position to bought positions, and you've got fresh buying, which will push the stock higher. So you've got a dearth of sellers and an abundance of buyers, so the stock's got to go one way. Now, a move like this won't necessarily continue like this. You will get a pullback at some stage as the market becomes back into balance again, but it's basically a break higher, which is very constructive for Super Cheap Auto. And volume's been okay here. Let me just move this across a little bit there. So we can see plenty of green bars here, not many red stuff here, one red one there, a little pullback here, but apart from that, since October at $11, it's now risen to be above nearly $16 in December. So that's great. Momentum's great, volume's good, it's above the average, which is turning up. Trend intensity rating is +10, beautiful. Okay, the other one which is interesting, which is also for, we've all loved JB Hi-Fi for many years, and it's done very well for a lot of people, but for the last 2 years it's struggled. And I think it's not just such been the business, it's more the market sentiment has been a little bit wishy-washy. And even now, I would say the consumer is awake, the consumer is buying. And when I go down to JB Hi-Fi, it's busy. The share price is doing well. So again, I think a bit of confidence coming back into the market. We're just starting to see a little bit of buying coming in here. Momentum's good. The average is down here below here, turning up. And we're moving on these highs. We've sort of broken out of this congestion area through here. And we're now going to give a challenge to R1, which is great. And above there is all-time highs. And we love all-time highs. So JB Hi-Fi looks interesting to me now. Trend intensity rating is +1. So in that group, you've got Breville, you've got JB Hi-Fi, you've got Super Cheap Auto, and Harvey Norman is one that I'm going to look at in the newsletter which comes out at the end of the month, because I think Harvey Norman looking very interesting at the moment. It's become very cheap. It yields very well, like all these retail stocks. So there's maybe an opportunity there in Harvey Norman. So check out the newsletter at the end of this month on that. Okay, so for me, JB Hi-Fi is looking interesting again. Again, we're having a rally here, so don't be surprised if we get some sort of pullback. It's potentially possible, but that's not really going to damage the outlook. The outlook is turned quite positive, and that's very good, I think. Okay, now the other area besides consumer discretionary is the builders, and I've been onto this for a while. CSR, James Hardie, and if we look at this, James Hardie just trends beautifully. It's a bit like Telstra, which does the same sort of thing. We've had a good rally up here. We've had a pullback, December 22, December 23, and here we are, December 24, making new highs. So every year we seem to get a trend move in James Hardie. But it's looking very good, and it's a strong move this week, really powerful. So this is one stock that's had a great 2023. So not a lot, but some stocks have done well, okay? And James Hardie's done well, and it's now marching right back to the highs. So will 2024 held a new high? Well, we'll just follow the trend. The builders are showing great strength. We're looking at CSR, which I'll look at in a second. Boral's another one that's looking pretty good. So that group of stocks has really been a sector you could have focused on this year and made a bit of money out of. Okay, so momentum accelerating here, beautiful volume through here. We had a good selling test here again, a pullback selling test. Now this one we did stop out here, but we re-entered on this one as our strategy says. So we're on this move the whole way through. We've got some good volume here. It's well above the average, so it looks like it's going to march straight into those highs. And you know, if it's in a mood, it may well go straight through. So James Hardie is looking very interesting at the moment. If we go and have a look at CSR, it's looking just as good. It's had a great rally this year from $4 in June 22 to be now $6.40, $6.50 in December 2020. So that's 18 months. It's been a good rally. It's been a solid rally. It's now making new highs. Trend intensity rating is +10. It's above the average. Volume starting to appear here. Let me just squeeze this off a little bit so we get a little bit there. We can see a bit of volume here, and it's positive. Again, excuse me, and some of those stocks like JB Hi-Fi, like CSR, a couple of them, the volume hasn't been huge, which doesn't worry me too much, provided I've got all the other things here saying the moving average, the price, the momentum, because sometimes, as I know, with volume, it can be tricky. If there's not a lot of sellers, the price can still rise easily because the sellers just aren't there and the buyers have got a bid up. So it's called a shortage of stock, and that's what's probably happening here more than anything. So there's a good cross-section of a few stocks there. There's a few miners in there, BHP, Orica. I looked at a couple of the retail stocks and a couple of the builders there. So that's really a space we have been. So 2024 will be interesting. I'll be doing the newsletter at the end of this month, which will highlight a few other interesting stocks that may well be moving next year. So, I'm quite excited for 2024. As I say, the cycle always does turn, and it's looking like it's turning at the moment. So, be confident in what we see. Okay, just to go for one little one for you at the moment, I put my members onto this one a couple of weeks ago. Regis Healthcare, which has broken up. It had a long downtrend from about $6. It came down to about $1. Big correction. Since then, for the last few years, it has been just developing a slow grind of a trend reversal, which it did break through here and has now risen strongly. It broke through about 230, 240. It's now up around 320, so we've really got a buck on that one there. And its trend intensity rating is 10. Simple trend reversal. And it's developing uptrend, so we just rose our stops on this one. And again, because it's a smaller stock, volume sometimes a little bit harder to read, but we can see clearly the volume is there. Again, we've had a little selling test through here, and it pushed the stock down a little bit, but not too badly. The buyers held it up and rallied it higher, and now everything's clearly going gangbusters there for Regis Healthcare. So this is just a small cross-section of what I do. There's a lot more stuff in Stockradar. I cover 160 stocks. They're all there with ratings, stops, trend reversal levels, all sorts of things there for you to have a look at. So get onto that and have a look at it. That's what's happening there. Okay, so really that's about all I've got for you today. I will be back next week. I didn't go through the portfolios, which I can go through now fairly quickly, but you can see, apart from the conservative, which is now 4 out of 10, 40% equity, 60% cash, that's the really conservative portfolio, and we're going to need a few more stocks to build that one up again. But every other portfolio is full. The Energizer 5 is full, 5 out of 5. The Energizer 10 picked up 3 stocks this week to go 10 out of 10, and the other 2 stocks are 5 out of 5, and they're starting to go a little bit here on the compound annual growth rate, and they will start picking up quite strongly. The market kicks higher. Most of our returns are a lot better than the accumulation index, especially our 5 stock, which is at 15.4. Despite having come back quite a lot last year, it's because it's a 5 stock, it is more volatile, but we pick up on the upside what we lose on the downside, so that will start to move ahead pretty strongly if the market does move ahead strongly. So still 15% over 20 years is not a bad return for that. So even though we do come back, it's still long term, it's been a good returner for us all. So that's the portfolios, how they look, and that's up to date as of Monday. So they're all looking pretty good. So really now it's Merry Christmas, and I want to thank everybody for all their support of Stockradar during the year. I know it's been a really tough year, but you've all been there for me, subscribing nicely, taking up trials, and I've enjoyed the year basically on that side of it. Although the markets haven't been that favourable, we're still going okay. So I do thank you all very much for your support during a very difficult time. So ho ho ho, goodbye to 2023. That's a good thing. We're looking forward to a much better 24, not just in the stock market, but perhaps around the world, a bit of a happier time, which we all look forward to, I think. So hopefully a more fruitful 2024. Okay, there's plenty of stocks hitting the Stockradar at the moment, so get onto it, have a look at that. I'll just mention to you briefly that I will be going on holidays from January the 9th to January the 28th this year. Okay, so I'm going to be here next week and over the new year, but from the 9th to the 28th I'll be on holidays. We're taking the kids to Japan, so that'll be a bit of fun for us. I think it'll be a bit cold up there, but that's okay. It sounds like quite an exciting place at the moment. I was there when I was 16 years old, so I'm now taking my son who's 16 and my daughter, but so it'll be nice to go back to Japan and see how things were. Okay, so that's all I've got for you today. Merry Christmas to you all. I just want to finish off with saying the builders are building and the consumer is awakening, and there's your story to say goodbye to 2023. Stay tuned for 2024 prospect list. There will be some good runners for sure, and even so, this year there's been some good runners: Pro Medicus, Car Group, Magellan, Seven Group. There's been some good ones there, James Hardy. So there's always some good ones for us to follow. So in the meantime, enjoy your Christmas, stay safe, respect your trends, heed your losses, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks very much.